Hello and welcome to Actify's webinar presentation. My name is Scott Miller and we are joined today by Marc Anderson, who will be providing a product demonstration shortly. We also want to make these webinars as valuable and informative as possible to benefit your organization. So I welcome any feedback and suggestions for future webinar topics. So if you have a topic that you'd like to learn more about, then please email your suggestions to marketing@actify.com. A brief introduction for anyone joining us today and learning about Actify, our company, our products for the first time. As a company, Actify is 100% focused on delivering solutions that revolutionize the way that engineering product data, enterprise information is managed and shared across the organization and throughout the product's development lifecycle. And Actify has been providing product visualization software to the discrete manufacturing industry for more than 20 years. So over the next 30 minutes or so, we'll discuss how your organization can enable agile product development and make use of cost-effective CAD viewing software to improve communication and collaboration. This will benefit faster access to feedback and result in faster time to market. So what is agile product development? Some executives seem to associate agile with the thought of anarchy or chaos, where everybody does what he or she wants to. And then others take agile to mean do what I say, but do it faster. However, agile product development is all about innovation. It's a structured process to accelerate the creation of new products and processes. Agile product development comes in several varieties. They have much in common with each other, but they emphasize slightly different things. This includes Scrum, which emphasizes creative and adaptive team working in solving complex problems. Now we've got Lean development, which focuses on the continual elimination of waste. And then there's Kanban, which concentrates on reducing lead times and reducing the amount of work in progress. And you might be familiar with some of these agile development terms. I'm aware that some of them are maybe more geared towards software development, but the terms Lean and Kanban are quite common to manufacturing. And Actify don't want to join this debate of discussing the suitability of each agile methodology for hardware product development, but instead I want to just generally address the theme of agile product development, which is continuous improvement. That's continually seeking to find new ways to optimize a product or process, but also recognizing that communication and collaboration is central to agile product development. In each case, within an agile product development team, the team consists of a multidisciplinary group of people that possess all the required skills to solve that problem. And they must be highly collaborative, which is where the collaboration and communication is key. They accelerate the development through experimentation and rapid feedback cycles, rather than enter endless debates. They experiment, they gain access to feedback. It's this implement, test, analyze process that we're looking at. And then with team leaders, they are responsible for setting those priorities, also removing barriers that face the team, but they must ensure that there is clear communication between all the team members and the key stakeholders. So what is successful product development? Well, let me set the scene. Today, customers are expecting more. They're expecting more from us, and many manufacturers are under constant margin stress, which result in products that perform a function, but they don't really offer any sustainable competitive advantage. Now, to be successful, you need to design more than just a product. You need to delight your customers and provide them with a great user experience. The reality is that most companies are still focusing on the design development aspects with a product-centric approach. Now, a product-centric approach is where engineering teams are given the set of requirements, they deliver and produce the product to meet the request, but the product might be complex or it might only be available in predetermined configurations. And how do we then validate our product to ensure that it meets the customer or market requirements? Well, to date, companies have designed and built products, and then we technically validate those designs through dynamic simulations or through physical prototypes, but not necessarily against how the product would actually be experienced by the user and validating the user's feedback. Therefore, successful product development is customer-centric, where the voice of the customer or user experience is considered throughout the development process. And the development process needs to be highly collaborative, with a focus on improving communication with all key stakeholders. At Actify, we identify that communication and collaboration with stakeholders is a key enabler to Agile product development. By gaining insight to issues earlier in the design cycle, we can eliminate waste and then we can get to market earlier. So if we take this is your typical product life cycle and we have a planned launch date. But when we evaluate Agile product development and the impact that both communication and collaboration improvements can have on product life cycles, you'll see that time and costs are reduced, resulting in an earlier break-even point and higher profits. So with Agile product development, you get to market earlier, which reduces your costs. Your break-even moves forward, so you're driving profits earlier and you get higher profits even sooner. And your product time in the market is extended, and that's why your organization needs to unlock the benefits of a collaborative product development process. So what are some of these other benefits of Agile product development? Well, compared with traditional management approaches, Agile product development offers a number of benefits, all of which have been studied and documented. For example, company benefits, I see those as increasing team productivity and employee satisfaction, minimizing waste and minimizing redundant meetings, and minimizing the amount of excessive planning and documentations needed, and ultimately reducing quality defects and mitigating low-value product offerings. But also, benefits I see to the customer is by improving this visibility to issues and addressing challenges earlier in the development cycle, we can exceed customers' expectations. Agile product development improves customer engagement because we include them in that process. Customer satisfaction increases and we can bring products to market faster. And finally, by dramatically reducing the time wasted in micromanaging projects, this puts valuable time back into the hands of senior management. So how effectively does your development team communicate and collaborate today? Well, I think of collaboration. I get this image of an in-person meeting where everyone contributes and reports on the project status. But in our technology-enabled digital work environments, this isn't the most effective way to collaborate, especially when it requires engineers and management to attend time-consuming meetings to provide manual updates because it takes away from valuable design time. Collaboration should be a continual effort to share information and get to the solution faster as a team. A common reason for product rework or delays to market is actually because issues are discovered too late in the development process. So we know that inefficiencies exist between the engineer and the suppliers, where suppliers continue to work on out-of-date information or old files because they may not have access to the latest design information. This leads to waste or poor product quality. And we acknowledge that supplier communications, they need to be improved in order to reduce those costly errors and product delays. But now we're introducing this focus on customer experience and highlighting the need to improve communication with all stakeholders at both ends of the supply chain. Now this places enormous stress on your engineers because engineers must move beyond just designing the form, the fit, and the design of a product. They must also be expert collaborators, rapidly connecting with stakeholders to derive solutions, share relevant design information, but also then incorporating that feedback into new design iterations. So how can manufacturers continue to do all of this with less time, increased product complexity, and with less budget than ever before? We believe that your engineers need a solution to support these objectives, and we believe that that solution is SpinFire Ultimate. Actify can unlock engineering information and make it available and accessible to the wider enterprise. There are many job functions around the enterprise that require information that comes out of engineering documents and CAD files to support their work. So with SpinFire Ultimate, it has been designed to provide the enterprise with a cost-effective tool to access CAD files and design information. We've designed it for quick implementation and fast user adoption, but the key thing is that it enables information workers across the enterprise and the extended supply chain to easily interact with and access native CAD data It allows them to provide feedback to the design teams and allows them to collaborate on design data. So at this stage, I'm going to pass over to Marc Anderson, and he's going to provide you with a demonstration of our SpinFire Ultimate product.
Thank you, Scott. Good morning, everyone. So to begin with, a sort of very high-level overview of 11.5 release. So to begin with, I'll just explain the user views. So the user views in essentially can be used for saving any sort of measurements, any user feedback, any analysis tools that you've run in SpinFire. All these can be saved in these user views, and all these user views can be the Act3D file can be shared with other users, and they would also be able to look at these user views you've created and make any of their own amendments to that. And it's worth pointing out that with this release that the wall thickness analysis, previously it was only using a single CPU core. So in this release, it is now using multiple cores. So it's utilizing more of your machine's hardware for doing the calculations. So that's a major part. So that's one of the major parts of this release has been some of the new features which I'll be showing you, and the various performance improvements. And there's been many bug fixes, such as the minimum bounding box. So this is now more in line with what you would have expected from the older SpinFire. So one of the new features in this release is the Office add-on. So for those of you from that have used SpinFire Professional, you'll be familiar with this already, but we've reintroduced this with in this release of 11. And so first, and so of course that it works with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So to do that, I just simply go into my add-ins, and I click Open Workspace, and then I just click on one of my CAD models. So this opens the CAD model for us in SpinFire in a kind of office mode, and in a moment I'll be showing you how that works. So of course, the first thing I'll do here is insert this CAD model into my Word document. So we have that here. I can determine the size of the box before it goes into any of the Office applications. Obviously, you can resize this to be a bit more appropriate. And now, if I double-click this, so it's an image at this point. But as soon as I double-click that, it's essentially opening the SpinFire environment inside my Word document here. So that's just opening. And now I can rotate the part, and I can zoom in, I can pan, I can just like a normal SpinFire Ultimate. And if I now switch over to Excel, let's import that model again. So apart from importing the CAD model, we can also insert any images. So what you may have seen from my user views, I could go to that user view, and with the file export of the image, that image can go into my Office document. So we can do that now. So if we right, I found the wrong one. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a moment. So just to show you again, we can import this into Excel. So that's going to be in my Excel document now. But we can also, and as I mentioned, we can import the image. So if I just move this a little bit, File, Export Image, and I've got this option here, Insert to Excel. Okay, so if I check that now, I have an image. I can resize the image. And you can import as many of the CAD models and images, but we can also import the parts list, as well as any physical properties. So the surface calculation, volumes. So we can import all that raw metadata into any of these Office applications. So if we go to, so if I just expand this, so it's just a bit easier for you to see. There we go. So it's opening the workspace. Okay, and we have this button here. So it says Show Viewer. So if we click that, we now essentially have the full SpinFire Ultimate in our Office Excel document here. So I can do my session cuts, do the measurements. I can look at any user views. I can do some markups, and these can be then saved to the in the workspace. When I click off it, it'll say, "Do I want to save it?" And I can say yes. So if we now jump back to let's go to 2D workspaces now. So one of the new features is the callouts. So we have a couple of new options here. So if I say hello as my title, I can leave a comment here. So if I leave my name, click OK. And if I highlight that, I can see my name. And of course, I can expand it. I can move it around. And using the yellow button, I can rotate it. There we go. And if I right click, I can change the pattern, change the color. And we can lock that down. So another user can't come along and move it. And another feature that was originally seen in SpinFire Professional was the ruler and the grid. So we have the grid, the ruler, and we can adjust the grid size. So let's have a look. So if we went on options here, and we've got it on 5 at the moment. So let's try 50 and apply. And there we go. And if we zoom in, you'll notice that these change at the top here, the millimeters. So that's brand new in 11.5. And if we jump back to 3D, just to now go over some of the new performance improvements. So delete and add has been improved in this release. So that's sped up considerably over the last 2 releases. We've also got the option of static model. So if you go options, settings, and then you have static model enabled. So what this essentially does is optimize the assembly tree so that essentially the performance is improved, but this is only really taken advantage of if you're not adding or removing assembly parts while the setting is on. So it's best to use the setting when it doesn't involve changes to the assembly tree. You can use the setting and improve your performance. There's also under settings applications, we have the optimized memory. So this optimizes the memory in cases of after the file has been loaded or deleting a part. So you may see, you would see improvements around models that have been highlighted, and then you're doing some rotation. Or maybe you have machines that have 4 GB of memory. So this is one of those performance improvements we've included that will alleviate those issues that users have been experiencing, where essentially the memory was not being released after it wasn't being used anymore. So settings like these help a great deal now with performance. And if we go back to my workspace again, and if we go File, Export, and then 3MF, you can then export this model, and then in Windows 10, for example, I can now open that file in the 3D builder that comes with Windows 10. So we have the C scooter now. Yes, I need to zoom in. And then that, in this scenario, I could then do 3D printing to a printer. It's also worth quickly noting that in this release, we have this new setting under rendering graphics driver. So we're hoping this will also alleviate issues where you've installed Ultimate and you may be getting crashes with all your models. So with this setting, this should try to wisely choose a certain graphic driver that should not be experiencing that crashing. But in the worst case scenario that you were still having the crashing, then I would recommend that you try setting it to OpenGL2 and then apply settings and then retry your model. You should see that any issues have been addressed, such as any performance or crashing. And I'll just quickly mention this. This is just on the topic of collaboration. So we have the item properties and this external tab. I think we've had it in SpinFire for a little while now, but essentially this allows you to enter information into in this case, the root file here, and I can enter some values and save that in the file. I can export that to a CSV, text file, etc., and share that with somebody. So I believe that's everything I was going to cover today. So I'll be now passing you back to Scott.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, so Mark shared with you a lot of updates, which is in the newly released version of SpinFire Ultimate 11.5.0. But I just want to quickly summarize, coming back to the topic of Agile product development and some of the features that Mark has just shared with you, is if we look at them, such as user views, the markup capabilities, analysis, what we've got here is a tool, a user-friendly tool that enables the enterprise to collaborate on design data. It allows the users to investigate CAD and other information, but it also allows you to capture feedback to be shared with key stakeholders. And now with the new Microsoft integration, we now have a much richer way of collaborating through SpinFire's integration with Microsoft Office applications for communicating and collaborating with stakeholders across the enterprise. I would just like to thank everyone who has attended today's call live. If you have any questions, please contact your regional account manager. And if you'd like more information, you can always fill out one of the forms on our website. You should all receive a recording of this webinar via email for you to share with your colleagues. And if you would like to stay up to date with Actify's next webinars, please check out our website at actify.com/events. If you do have any thoughts for future webinar topics that you'd like to hear, please share them with us at marketing@actify.com. But if there's nothing else, then from all of us at the Actify team, we hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a great weekend. Thank you.